Welcome everybody to the Daily Intimacy. It is Tuesday, September 8th. A brisk, beautiful fall day this morning. I'm saying fall already, even though it's still summer, but it's so nice out. I love the weather right now. All right, thanks everybody for being here. Welcome to those of you that are here for the first time, and welcome back to Holly and Doug. Nice to see you guys this morning. If you haven't checked in, please feel free to do that in the chat. I always love to hear where you are and how you're feeling this morning. Scale of 1 to 10 is just a helpful way to do it, but you're welcome to put actual words and feelings in the chat. So we'll begin with a centering, and let's move forward with that. Okay, so just inviting everybody to have a breath. Have a breath and gently close your eyes. And let's take about 3 of those breaths, breathing all the way in through the nose. It's nice to release and exhale through the mouth. Just any kind of movement in your body, little micro movements to get settled. Wherever you are, sitting down, lying down, standing up. Nice deep breath. Allow your belly to expand, your heart to open. And exhale. And we'll do that again. Good. And as you're settling in here and connecting to this community in this moment, I invite you to tune into your body. Just notice if there's any places that are calling out to you, any sensations, any places that feel tight. Taking the breath to those spaces that feel tight, whether it's through a stretch or just bringing the breath. I always pay attention to the jaw. I think that's where I tend to put some of my stress. Yeah. Lion's breath. Have Brynn lead us in lion's breath when we get there. I love that. So just stay with yourself for another few moments and tune into how you're feeling. You know that our feelings can be all over the place, especially with so much uncertainty and so much intensity in the world right now in these days, and becoming still is so important. So see if you can name a feeling, but not attached to it, just name it. And see if it needs to be placed in your heart, and if so, you can bring your hands to your heart and allow it to integrate in that space. Or sometimes feelings aren't really needing much except to be acknowledged and let go. So notice if it's a feeling, an emotion that has that charge to it this morning, where you can just name it and then exhale and let it float away. So see if you can just make that distinction for yourself, bringing it to your heart if that's what's needed, which means it may need more of your attention, and certainly love and compassion and acceptance. Or if it's something else, sometimes it's somebody else's feeling, sometimes it's something, it's just a pattern, a habit that we feel, and we can just let that float off. And now breathe all the way down to the pelvic floor. Sometimes it helps to squeeze the pelvic floor and you can bring the breath there more easily. And then exhale. And one more squeeze of the pelvic floor, bringing the breath. Great. And then just take a moment, relax the body, the belly, the shoulders, the neck. And gently open your eyes when you're ready. Come on back, and you might slide your screen back and forth, just see who's here this morning. Many familiar faces and some new beautiful souls joining us, which is so lovely. Yeah, just kind of get familiar with each other. And I'm really happy to have Brynn back. Brynn was here on the very second day, I believe, that we did this back in March. The weeks that we did a daily intimacy, as opposed to a weekly daily intimacy. And it felt really good and right to have you back to touch in again. And I know you're doing some really always creative, deep work in the world, especially after some summer pause and self-nurturing, and which you're so good at. And I know you've been doing, regular practices for community, and I'm really excited to have you here. And I think you probably, let me see, who is meeting Brynn for the first time? Like, who is not familiar with Brynn's work? Great. Jennifer, Donna, keep your hands up. I'm going to scroll my screen. Georgette. Hey, Georgette. Long time no see. Okay, great. Yeah, so maybe Brynn, I'll let you introduce yourself, but I'll just say that in Boston, there's a few of us that have been teaching in this realm of Tantra and relationship and love and healing the blocks to love. And Brynn has been a very present and strong presence in that realm, and colleague and friend to me over many years. And so, so it's lovely for me to have you here.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Oh, there's an echo. Do you hear that?
No.
Okay.
It might just be on your side, but I don't hear it.
Okay. It's gonna drive me nuts having an echo of my voice in my ears. I don't know why that's going on. I wonder if you mute, Robyn, if that changes it at all. Testing. Yes, thank you. Okay, so hi everyone. Good morning. I'm Brynn Bishop. For those few who don't know me, I am a certified Tantra educator, an intimacy coach, and an attachment repatterning specialist. And so I won't go into what all that is, but I'll just, for a brief introduction, say that I guide individuals and couples into deeper connection with their true essence, like a reconnecting with who they truly are, and have different modalities and tools that I use in synthesis to do that, and then help couples enhance their communication so that they can show up fully as who they are and create deeper intimacy, connection, trust, opening, and attunement, emotionally, physically, sexually, sensually, to really create the connection that they desire, each of them as who they are now, as opposed to who they might have been when they were first together. So today I am been lately inspired about feminine emergence, and really it's a re-emergence, a divine feminine. And this has been just when as Robyn mentioned, I've taken some time for replenishment for myself this summer. And this is when I relax and open the channel. This is what's coming through, that wants to come through me. It's helping me. These are the tools that I'm using in my life that are making the biggest difference for me right now. And that feels very important to share in the world. Feels like it's a very critical point in our history that these qualities and powers of the divine feminine are really called for to bring healing and restoration. We're seeing the extreme imbalance of patriarchal domination, of white supremacy, dominating over, for as long as patriarchy has existed over indigenous cultures and ethnic and racial groups, and over economic imbalances, and over nature, right? There's this domination over, this is the masculine out of balance. So there's, the rape and pillage of Mother Earth and her natural resources, the fracking, the deforestation, and the amount of emissions that are affecting our climate. And we're seeing it exponentially, more and more natural disasters, right? Floods and earthquakes and hurricanes, and the imbalance in nature that we are creating. Now, Native cultures had a way of living in connection and harmony with nature and with each other, right, within their societies. There were egalitarian models in our prehistory for millennia. So this extreme and the powers that be are like fighting with a vengeance to hold on to their position of domination, right? And the backlash of that. This summer, I get goosebumps thinking of how much of a wave we're in of greater awareness and consciousness of the systematic repression and violence that has been going on, but that so many of us haven't fully been aware of and acknowledged, and how many of us are waking up to that and saying this needs to stop. So what I'm talking about, what I'm going to go into, is how opening up consciously to the divine feminine aspects that will bring balance and healing and harmony. And these live within all of us. So there's a great misunderstanding that the archetypal feminine qualities are just attributed to women, and that archetypal masculine qualities are attributed to men. And that, there are some schools that say, the man should really embody the masculine and the woman should really fully embody the feminine. And while I believe that's true, I believe the opposite is true as well. Like, for us to be whole human beings, we need to be able to access the full gamut. And those qualities live within all of us. And so some areas of that spectrum are more developed and some less developed, right, in each person. And there's a light and a shadow to each of the masculine and feminine. There's masculine qualities that are in balance and in alignment, and often we refer to those as divine masculine, of presence, of integrity, of a supportive containment and honoring. These are qualities that we don't have a lot of role models in our dominant culture for, right? In our dominant culture, and if we look in the 50s, it was really extreme. Like, we've come a long way in bringing more divine conscious masculine forth in the world. But if you look at the typical, the stereotypical roles of the man and the woman in the 50s, like, that's the extreme of, and you can see some positive and some out of balance in there. But there's this division. And this is a time of integration. This is the time of remembrance, actually remembering parts of ourselves that we've been alienated from. And our predominant culture has conditioned both men and women out of our connection with our true nature, with the divine elements of our nature. And had us take on these toxic imitations of power, of worth, of value, right? So for so many men that I've worked with over the last, 2 decades in my practice, there's been a lot of confusion around how to be a conscious man with a caring, compassionate, open heart and a strong backbone, right? And be in integrity and honor. And how to find that balance within. And for women, we've been attributed the qualities of, so some of the archetypal qualities that are feminine are receptivity, openness, intuition. There's this embodiment, the trust and connection with our bodies, with nature. This is all part of our divine nature that has so much power, that has been completely devalued, and in some cases just subordinated, so that these qualities are considered weak. And if a man shows compassion or emotionality other than anger, right? Sadness, tenderness, there's this, oh, you sissy, there's this degradation of those qualities. And for women too, right? Like, oh, you're just so emotional. And in our patriarchal society and culture, the values of the intellect, of rational thought, of logical thought, scientific proof, like, we're not going to believe anything that we can't prove, right? So these ancient traditions that have so much knowledge about energy systems and psychology and these dimensions that are unseen, that science is now beginning, where we've able to create machines and ways of detecting these things now, like, oh, maybe these things do exist, right? But there's been this in the age of the rational, that that is devalued. It's considered woo-woo. It's not really real. So emotions, the body, there's so much wisdom and power there that we have been cut off from in our programming, in our culture, right? It's neck up. It's all in the head. It's how we think about things, how we view things, and deadlines and efficiency. And it's very linear and action oriented, and the Protestant work ethic, and our value is based on what we produce, not who we are. And then for women, it's, you know, so much of our value is based on our looks, right? How, and for men too, right? What's your sex appeal with our media bombarding us with what is of value, right? That we can lose sense of our inner beauty and our inner power. And that's our essence. That is beyond personality. It's beyond this physical body. Our essence of who we are is pure joy and beingness and peace and expansiveness. And when we begin to cultivate and reclaim the inherent value of the powers of the divine feminine, of these qualities that are more receptive and open and embracing and nurturing, then we can begin to create more balance within ourselves, in our own psyches and bodies, because we're holding not only our own stress and traumas, but also collective and generational traumas from this imbalance that's been going on for millennia. You know, all the wars and famines and rape and genocide and slavery and oppression in so many forms. We carry this in our DNA. So there's a huge wave of healing that is happening. There's so many incredible modalities that have emerged in the last 40, 50 years that are bringing back the wisdom of the body, of the subconscious. The subconscious is so much more powerful than the conscious because it controls us without us having conscious choice. So to be able to tap into the body wisdom, we can tap into our unconscious and bring healing to what needs resolution within us. We can tap into the nourishment of nature, of being connected with nature again and her cycles and her rhythms that bring harmony and balance back to ourselves. And tapping into these qualities can bring harmony in our relationships, in our interpersonal relationships, be them romantic or family, or with our coworkers, in our communities, right? These are the qualities that we need to bring into our communities and into our society to create a global shift. So I just want to say, before I take you into an exercise of tapping into some of these qualities, how it's shown up for me, just a little share about how it's shown up for me in my life recently and for quite some time is, you know, with the Protestant work ethic and the value being in what we do, right? I can get into this groove, and I'm wondering how many of you can relate to this. Like, okay, I'm doing. I have to get this done. I have the next deadline. I don't even stop to celebrate my accomplishments because it's like, oh yes, but now there's the next thing to accomplish. Yeah, give a little wiggle with your fingers if you can relate to that. And I find that my nervous system is so amped up, right? And there's so much hypervigilance going on in our nervous systems because our danger alert, the stress, the deadlines, the be on, go, 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 that it's like my nervous system had forgotten how to relax. And I'm wondering how many of you can relate to that also. Like when we like, okay, it's time to chill out, you know, and then we go to like get lost in Facebook or Netflix, and that's our rest time. That's our restoration time. And actually, we've forgotten how to truly go into deep nourishment, deep rest, deep rejuvenation. It's more like a distraction. And even having extra time on our hands during, you know, the shutdown and the limitations on travel and everything, I find that there's so much stress that it's so easy to go to distraction. And if we don't have the tools to go into restoration, our adrenals are still working overtime, right? There's still this fatigue in our systems and in our psyches. So I'd like to guide you into a little guided practice of going into a state of receptivity and relaxation that can open you up to restorative energies. So I invite you to adjust your position if you want, so that you can be fully supported. If you want to lay down, or if you're on a couch and you can put a pillow behind your head, like so that your whole body can be fully supported and you don't have to use your muscles to hold you up. Very important for accessing deeper levels of relaxation and restoration. So I'm going to give you a moment to get situated, and I really highly encourage you to have support behind your head too. Our neck muscles work so hard. Our head is like 1/6 of our body weight, you know, held up by these little muscles. So not so little, but they work overtime. All right, so as you get settled in your supportive environment, I invite you to close your eyes and begin allowing your breath to deepen and lengthen. Allowing an expanse through your rib cage on the inhale, and a letting go and releasing on the exhale. Breathing at your own pace, filling up with your own consciousness in your body, coming back home on the inhale, and releasing any surface tensions into the support beneath you on the exhales. Expanding and releasing. Filling and draining as if it was like a waterfall, your energy, your breath, waterfall, cascading out of you into the earth on the exhale. Any surface tensions in your body, any muscular holding that you can release into the support. Any emotional discord that you may want to release in this moment that no longer serves you. You can imagine it draining also into the earth. The earth has this incredible ability to transmute, right? To take garbage and waste and compost it into nutrient-rich fertilizer. She can do that with our energy as well, taking any negative energies and transmuting them into life-giving, life-sustaining energy. And I'm going to invite you to, on your next inhalation, clench your whole body and hold your breath. So take a deep breath in, clench all your muscles. Hold, 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 squeeze, 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 and then release with sound. Letting go fully. Let's do that 2 more times. Breathing in, squeeze, 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 and release. Sometimes our muscles are holding on so tight, we need to overemphasize that. Squeeze, tighten, 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 tighten. And then this time release fully and continue to release as you inhale. And exhale. Imagine that your whole body is a cube of butter that you've just taken out of the fridge. And you put it in a pan, and the heat, or maybe you put it in the sun, and the heat and the warmth of the sun begins to melt the butter of your body. And you can just feel your muscles becoming more supple. And you might even find some of your butter becoming liquid and melting into the earth. Anything that you don't need, that no longer serves you, anything you're holding on to that might cause stress or disharmony or imbalance, and just let it melt away. And as if even the core of you could melt into this nourishing container, this nourishing holding of the earth. Releasing, releasing, releasing. Opening, softening. And allow this softening to come into your heart, allowing your heart to soften, to melt open a little more. Just as much as feels safe in this moment. Opening, becoming more receptive. So we all have developed some layer of protection around our hearts from the hurts, from the perhaps betrayals or abandonments or misunderstandings even throughout our lives. Taking things personally that actually had nothing to do with us and feeling that hurt. And so in this moment, I just invite you to send compassion and gratitude for that protective layer of your heart that has been there to try to keep you safe, to keep you from being hurt again. Just acknowledge that part of you for wanting to help keep you safe. And then let it know that you are in perhaps a different place now than when it was installed. Perhaps you were in a situation where you didn't have other resources. Maybe you didn't have access to your voice to really speak your truth or set boundaries. Perhaps it wasn't safe to do that, or perhaps it just felt like it wasn't safe. Either way, see if you can bring this part of you up to date with your life right now. Notice what you have access to in your life right now. What nourishment, what connections, what love, what support, in any myriad of forms that may take, right? All the Zoom connections, this group, right? This steadfast group that Robyn's been holding week after week to come together in community, to get nuggets of insight, to get tools, to get connection. And all the places in your life where you have access to feeling connected, feeling safe, feeling nourished. And just let that protective coating around your heart notice this safety, this nourishment that's available, and see if it might want to melt a little to allow that nourishment in even more fully. And allow your breath to continue to be deep and full, to receive. You might conjure some imagery, even imagining the sun, the golden ball of the sun, the radiant golden warmth above you, shining its light and radiance down into your heart. The sun shines equally on everyone. We don't have to earn the right to receive its warmth. We are all equally worthy. And so allowing this metaphor of the sun and this light to represent the divine universal love that's available to us 24/7. Unconditional love. Shining down upon us and enveloping us in its warmth. This divine feminine love, acceptance, compassion, nourishment. And allow yourself, if you wish, to be wrapped in this blanket of warmth, of light, of love. Breathing it into your heart. Allowing your heart to become maybe even 1% more receptive. And then allowing this light, this consciousness, this love to be pumped through your veins to every cell in your body. Lighting up every cell with the light of consciousness, the remembrance of your divine essence, of peace, of unconditional love, of innate worthiness, intrinsic value, wholeness. In our essence, there is nothing within us that is broken. We are whole. And allow that light, that energy, to imbue each cell in your body and let it vibrate with the frequency of joy, of aliveness, of elation, bliss, of this resonance of safety and connectedness. And then if you like, I invite you to bring your hands to your body and tenderly caress your skin, your body, anywhere that feels most nourishing to you. So many of us are isolated without nourishing touch. And even if we have people that we receive nourishing touch from in our lives right now, there's something so uniquely nourishing about bringing this quality of complete 100% acceptance and nourishment and tenderness and love to ourselves. So perhaps you might want to bring it to your heart, to your face, perhaps your whole body. Bringing gentleness. We can have such a harsh inner critic, judging ourselves for our imperfections. Let's start rewiring that with an embodied sense of tenderness and acceptance through nurturing touch. We are all human beings. We are imperfect. That is our nature. And all our so-called weaknesses are completely acceptable and lovable. And they help shape who we are, our uniqueness. And we all have a divine essence. We have a part of us that is untouched by any of our woundings in this lifetime. Now we can tap into and feel that sense of peace. And so I invite you to find a spot on your body to bring your hands to rest. Perhaps on your heart, on your belly, perhaps lovingly cupping your genitals, sending love and acceptance to your genitals exactly as they are right now, without any pressure to perform. Just in their resting state, loving this part of your body as whole and worthy of love and acceptance and celebration. Excuse me, and let's seal this meditation with 3 ohms. And actually, instead of our traditional om, we're going to do ah, ooh, These are the divine primordial sounds of the heart, ah, ooh, of our sexuality, of our consciousness. So integrating these aspects of our being, of our wholeness and wholesomeness. Inhaling. Seeing if you can feel the vibration of the ah in your heart, the ooh in your sexual creative center, and the in your third eye in the center of the brain. 2 more. Inhaling. Last one. Taking a few moments to bring awareness to the effects of this practice, what's shifted in your experience, in your sensations, your body, in your mood, in your energy. Naming what you notice to anchor it in. And inviting you very gently in your own time as you're ready to begin to move your fingers and toes, maybe give a gentle stretch. And when you're ready, gently opening your eyes and coming back to our circle. Moving in any way that helps you come back. I'd love to open it up for shares. Anything that you noticed. And you're welcome to chat, write in the chat anything you notice, or you can raise your hand to be unmuted and share verbally.
Yeah, just put me in the chat and then we'll know you want to share. And we'd love to hear from a few people, from a few of you, how that was. Neil's still asleep, so that's good. Who would like to share about their experience or anything they're noticing about their... I really loved the piece around rest, Brynn, before we did the exercise, when you said, like, what's your rest these days? You know, is it Netflix? Is it, you know, hopping on the computer? Is it, you know, is it truly rest was really the question. Is it restoration?
Mm-hmm.
And how with this underlying, you know, anxiety, we can think we're resting, but we're really not. And then our adrenals are still like active and engaged and not getting the rest and replenishment they need. That was, you know, that's really...
And even our sleep, like there's so much disruption of sleep with this underlying anxiety that we are feeling in the collective field that might not even be our own. Exactly. And so to have a practice like this before going to sleep to help release, to help shift from that fight, flight, or freeze into restoration.
Definitely. Absolutely. Let's hear from Claire. Go ahead and unmute.
That was very powerful practice, and I'm living with somebody now, you know, for the first time in 22 years, and as wonderful that it is in so many ways, it's also, you know, I think I got in touch with a part that feels that I cannot really take time for myself. I can't really connect in a deep way with myself while I'm, you know, in somebody else's house. And, you know, I guess maybe I felt I needed to be available to my parents, or something. But I mean, I really connected with that part. I cannot, fully, I can connect, you know, with my partner, but I can't fully connect in myself and connect with that deep feminine. So that was a powerful thing to feel. And at the very end, I did go into a zone of deep connection with myself, but I still don't know how easy that would be to access in a more normal, conscious mode.
That's such a good point that you bring up, Claire, about how do we get into that deep place of inner connection when we're in sharing space with others. And I find for myself, having a guided meditation helps me so much to get there. Just having that guidance in that cuts through all the noise and gives us permission to create that space for ourselves. Yeah, I'd love to hear from anyone else. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I really appreciate what Claire, what you said too. It can be really hard, especially if it's new. And you didn't quite say that, but sort of finding your rhythm. Denise.
I am in a situation where I have a lot more free time than I've ever had in my life. And then, there's so much uncertainty about the future. The thing that I find so restful, actually, is being out in the woods and moving. It's funny, the paradox of you're physically moving, all your senses are being stimulated by nature. But yet I find that so restful, so connecting, so nourishing. So I want to say, it's sometimes not obvious or not logical what is restful from one person to another, but that I found very helpful.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. That is so, while it's still warm out, it's so important to be out in nature, and the being in the energy of nature and surrounded by nature is so restorative. So yes, absolutely.
I also want to add the ocean as well. You said the earth can absorb a lot of things. Whenever I'm having high emotional feelings I want to let go of, I just be around the waves or the ocean as much as I can. And it soaks it right in. It's amazing.
Yes, it's true. The ocean is one of the most cleansing bodies of energy. It's like, that's what they say. It's one of the safest places to be during COVID, because it's constantly showering us with negative ions, and the cleansing nature of it. Thank you for your shares.
Yes, I sent my newsletter out this week was about grounding practices. And I mean, can't always be at the ocean, but I take, a good 1 to 2 full cups of salt and pour it into my bathtub. And it always looks like a ton, but it helps right away with cleansing, releasing. Whatever I don't need to hold on to just shifts, and whew, do I feel better after that.
Yes, water is so powerful, and the salt to soak those energies and detox.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I would just say that I do have, as Robyn, as you mentioned at the beginning, a weekly free practice on Monday mornings that you're welcome to come join us. I guide a grounding practice, centering practice, movement to get our life force moving, opening the flow of our body. and activating, and also some guided imagery for nourishment. So Robyn will be sending out a link that you can sign up to get announcements, invitation to that. And I also have a course a new course that I'm going to be offering soon that goes into, it's a 6-week course, and each week we focus on one of the divine feminine powers to fully embody it, right? So we look at the light, the shadow, what blocks us from being able to access it, how is it showing up in our life, and how to access it fully. And you'll have those recordings that you can use then throughout your week and ongoing in your life. So if this is of interest to you, you can sign up to get the notification when I launch that program.
Thank you so much, Brynn. Thanks for being here.
You're so welcome. Thank you for
Rich
having me.
practice. You're welcome.
Yeah, beautiful to be with you all this morning.
Yeah. I want to thank you especially, but don't go anywhere yet, because I want to remind everybody that next week Nina Mandelson is coming back also. I'm just really thrilled. And she is all about body peace in the body, and nourishing ourselves. So the invitation for next week is to bring your breakfast. We haven't done breakfast together yet. So bring your breakfast, or something to eat, or something to drink, or you don't have to bring your breakfast. Like, we always, whatever happens here, you're always at choice. But come, whether you bring your breakfast or not, and we're going to have some fun and some deep nourishment again. So deep nourishment in a different form. So I look forward to seeing everybody there, and bring a friend. I offered a little special offer in my last email. So bring a friend and receive 15 minutes of connect time with me, intuitive or otherwise. Anyway, a little incentive to bring some friends. Bring some friends. It's fun. The more people we have, I don't know. It's always fun, no matter who comes. Anyway, so yeah, 10 o'clock, right on time. Thanks, Brynn. Thank you so much. I'll be sending the recording out, all your info, and I'm just wishing everybody a blessed day, bringing this deep nourishment with us through the day. I certainly will be.
Yeah, blessings to everyone.
Yeah, have a great day, everybody.
Have a beautiful day.
Feel free to unmute and say goodbye, but anyway, lots of love to everybody. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Take care. Bye, all.
Bye-bye.
Great day.
Thanks, Brynn.
Thanks.